Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of 5 Things That We Learned After Manchester City's disappointing and frustrating 2-0 defeat at the hand of PSG and Lionel Messi and co. It was an interesting game of football, quite a weird game of football, and usually when you lose a game like that, you kind of distraught and so on, but I kind of wasn't. And for many reasons, which we'll get into today. I want to say thank you, though, at first, to my latest Patreon, which is Sam the Guru. Sam, thank you so much. I'm not sure if that's Sam who actually went on my fan view live last night, but thank you so much if that is him. And also thank you very much to Sam in general. If you want to help support the channel a tiny bit more, it's massively appreciated. Patreon.com/Esteemed Kompany. And don't forget as well, all patrons and all YouTube members get to have a chat with me on the fan view live after a game if you want to. It's massively appreciated. Patreon.com/Esteemed Kompany. Big love to Sam, the Guru. I'm going to start initially with this one, with the obvious thing. And I say things that we learned. We kind of knew this, but I guess the point, I've added the word still, and it's striker. Still, we still need a striker. I don't think there was any real doubts about that in general, but I think last night might have been the confirmation that we maybe possibly needed that this issue is still going to rear its ugly head time and time again. And it's something that we're going to have to maybe just accept until the start of next season, because we can moan about it if we want to and carry on, but we're literally in September still. We can't sign a player. We can't solve that situation, that problem right now. And I think obviously there are potential solutions to this. Do we have the solutions to this? That's something that we need to answer and need to find out over the coming months. But I think it's really obvious. I think even in the treatment of Ferran Torres and maybe even the lap to an extent, I think it's really obvious that the club probably still crave a big striker as well. A big, undoubted number 9, first choice number 9 striker. Because I think it's fair to say that last night, if a striker was on the pitch, we probably do score a goal. Obviously the Bernardo chance was ridiculous. I mean, Bernardo should score that. That's not a striker's chance. That's a me chance. That's a you chance. That's an anyone chance. So that's one of those where it's just like a freak of nature. And I've seen Haaland miss those chances, by the way. I've seen Aguero miss those chances. I've seen Ronaldo miss a chance like that. I guess the point I'm making is a freak chance like that can happen. But it wasn't even that Bernardo chance for me, which is where I think we need a striker. I'm actually talking about maybe Sterling's header that led to that prior, or maybe a couple of snapshots that De Bruyne had, or maybe a couple of instances where one instance in particular where Sterling slightly miscontrolled the ball in the centre, and a couple of instances where we whipped in some good crosses, but our players were simply too small to get on the end of him. Those were the instances for me that showed that we still need a striker, that we know, but they're the ones that matter. Not the Bernardo chance, that's kind of irrelevant. Everyone should score that goal. But the other instances are the ones that show that, unfortunately, there are going to be the odd game here and there that's going to cost us. And maybe we should have brought Ferran on towards the end, but I'll get onto Ferran in a bit because I find it interesting to talk about Ferran Torres. The second thing I learned actually is that we're still a very confident team. Honestly, I know we didn't win, and I know we lost 2-0 in the end to a moment of Messi magic to obviously close the game off. God, here's what you could have won, Messi. Still got it. He's still got it. But one thing I did learn is that this side is still confident, because even though obviously we lost the game, we played good football, man. We played good football, and there was an energy to the team, or not an energy, I guess there's a belief to the team is what I'm trying to say. There was a belief to the team. You could sense that they knew they were good. You could sense that they were in a decent mental space after the Chelsea game, because there was a purpose to their play, if not necessarily always the quality and always maybe the end product. And I think in general, if you're playing a team like PSG, there's always a good chance that you're going to lose a game like this if you are not at your very, 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 very best. You can win and not be your very, very best like PSG did against us, but you are you're dancing a dangerous dance there, basically, if you're not at your very best. And I think confidence wasn't enough last night. I think we were maybe lacking a bit of general clinicism, and also maybe a little bit of fatigue kind of settled in. But basically, I actually was vaguely encouraged last night, because I think the attitude from the players was good. And even though we lost the game, I feel like we played pretty well, and that is something to take from me, because PSG are an excellent side, but it felt like we were playing just a mid-table Premier League side who had Messi. You know, I mean, a couple of dangerous players up front. And I'm not trying to be detrimental to PSG at all. I'm really not. But they sat back and defended in a way that we've witnessed a billion times. And we've lost games like that on the counter to lesser teams beforehand. It looked no different to the Spurs games that we lost. And PSG are meant to be much better than Spurs, put it that way. So that's interesting. But I admired the confidence that we played with last night. The third thing that I learned is that Rodri, again, was really impressive. That Rodri, again, showed us that maybe this guy does have a little bit more to him than we realise. I thought he was our best midfielder last night, Rodri, and I was really, really impressed with his focus as well. his reaction to that second goal, he was absolutely immeasurably frustrated. And I really admire that he cares that much. I think he's really growing into his role into this Manchester City side. And we need to remember that Rodri will have a bad game again. Rodri will have multiple bad games again towards the end of his in the entire span of his Manchester City career. Because that's what you do. You don't have a great game every single week. The point is, Rodri clearly has that quality. And what you hope is the longer he stays at the club and the more he learns the role and the older he gets and the more experienced he gets, is that those bad games are just further and further apart until he gets older and then you get closer together again. But that's what you want. The bad games being that close, then getting further apart as the more experienced he gets. And I think he's showing signs of that personally. He bullied a very experienced midfield last night for PSG. Genuinely, I thought he was really physically impressive. I thought he was quite a leader kind of performance in the midfield. And that's 2 excellent performances back-to-back now for me for a very excellent player. And I think the fourth thing we've learned is that there's a bit of a hierarchy. And what I mean by that is Ferran Torres clearly is towards the bottom of that hierarchy. There's certain players that, of course, are seen as potentially more important in terms of keeping them happy. Whether we agree with that or not, I think it's there. Certain players will play more than others because of experience and quality and time, kind of hierarchy and value and so on. And I think the problem we've got with Ferran Torres is that even though he'll probably be our best finisher, I think Guardiola's perception of Ferran Torres is still one of a young player who doesn't contribute enough overall to the team. Whether he does or not, I don't know. Some would argue that goals are enough, but I think Guardiola does want Ferran to do more. And right now, he's down still, despite his goals, at the bottom of the hierarchy and below players like Jesus, below players like Sterling and Mahrez and Grealish and so on. And I think Ferran, the reason he didn't play last night simply is because everyone else is back and he's still down near the bottom of that hierarchy and he hasn't quite answered the questions that Guardiola has been posing to him. Whether that's fair or not, it ain't for me to say. I'm tempted to say it's a little bit unfair. I think he's probably deserved a start or at least a substitute appearance yesterday. But I think he's going to have to keep working and improving. And hopefully he takes to that challenge really well. Because I do think there is more Ferran can do. Because he does seem to disappear in games unless he's scoring goals. Which is a nice habit, don't get me wrong, the scoring goals bit. But if you play for Manchester City, you've got to do more than just score goals. You have to. The final thing I learned is that we have to be patient with KDB. I said this on a forum recently when I was posting away on Blue Moon Forum, but my biggest worry about KDB is that we've already seen the best of him. That's not to say he's going to be a poor player. That's not to say he's brilliant and all that kind of stuff. And that's not to say he's about to decline massively very quickly. But what I mean by that is my worry is that I feel like the best of KDB, the confident, fully physical, brave, bold and alive KDB was a couple of years ago, and all the injuries might have taken their toll a little bit. Having said that, the great players, even if he is a little bit kind of cautious physically and so on, the great players learn how to adapt to their own limitations, and they learn how to adapt to certain situations. And it could be actually that we just need to be patient. He's had, by all accounts, a couple of painful injuries. There was reports that suggest the Rudiger challenge in the Champions League final did a number on him. He lost feeling in part of his face, according to reports. And I think he might even be struggling with that still. I don't know, but I tell you what, that kind of stuff bothers you more sometimes than a knee injury. And what I mean by that is when your face feels weird, you can't ignore stuff. It's like why toothache drives you mad or an ear infection, because it's in your head, or if your eyes feeling a bit funny. Those annoy you because it's around your face. So I wonder if that's still affecting him a little bit, and it could take a while to get used to. And it could also be that his ankle's still a little bit sore or whatever. Either way, I think we have to be patient with KDB because he's clearly not 100% yet in terms of fitness. I don't know if he's fully yet confident either post-fitness, because the problem with injuries is not how they decrease your fitness. It's often how they decrease your perception of your own ability and your confidence, essentially, on the pitch. You don't want to fully go for it if you're worried about getting injured again. You have to find that confidence, and essentially that comes with normalising just playing. And I think there's an element of this with Guardiola. I think he probably understands that KDB right now is not fully fit, but the best way for KDB to get fully fit in both mentally and physically is actually to play him through it and go, look, you're going to be fine, mate. Don't worry about it. And I think there's something to be said for that. So usually, I think some players would obviously sit on the bench, play a game, sit on the bench, play a game. I think Guardiola's decided for whatever reason, KDB is probably the kind of player that will learn to trust himself by just being out there and experiencing it and trusting his body again, and also realising his own weaknesses. And right now, KDB, he was fine last night. He's not KDB back to his very best, but he was definitely a little bit like tired, and are definitely a little bit cautious every now and then, where KDB of old would have taken some of those shots from 20 yards. I think a couple of times he passed it to Cancelo. I was like, why didn't he just shoot there? KDB would have shot. And I think he probably needs to play to look at his own game and go, I wasn't good enough. I think that's what the point. I think Guardiola will know KDB is his own biggest critic, so he puts him out there to get him fit, for one, so this is his pre-season, to play him into fitness, and two, so he's aware of his limitations, and not his limitations, he's aware actually that he can still do it and maybe get around it. That's my theory about KDB anyway. Guys, thank you very much for watching this video. Let me know what you thought, that you learned from the game. It was a disappointing game, but yeah, it happens. I don't think there was any alarm bells going off there. It was a group stage game that ultimately probably shouldn't mean anything, if we're being totally honest. And we still played pretty well, really. We have to be patient, but that is life. Thank you for watching this. Thank you to my latest Patreon, Sam the Guru, and big love to Scott Denemy and all the other names currently scrolling down the side of the screen. You're all legends. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Do hit the subscribe button, because we are on the road to 60k. Let me double check what we're on right now. 58,167. Let's get to 58,200 by the end of this day, if that's okay. So another 33, that'd be great. And let's try and get to like 1,000 likes in this video. That's a big ask, but I think we can do it, man. Not 1,000 likes, maybe 500 likes. 500 likes. Go on. Do us a massive favor. 500 likes. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.